So I want to talk about something new. I actually learned something new yesterday, which I absolutely love. And that is one of the latest accessories that Sizzix has come out with for their machines. This is the precision base plate. And what this is actually a metal plate. This is going to basically replace your bottom cutting pad. And this is specifically designed for thinlet dies that have a lot of detail. And I really didn't know about it yesterday until I started to work with it, but it makes a huge difference because obviously if you think about the world of die cuts, how they've evolved, you know, we started out with the steel rule dies, that's what I still do, but the nice thing about having a thin die, when we talk about thinlets, we're talking about metal dies that are thin enough but also very intricate, allow us to cut out a lot of different shapes. So any of your thin dies, when they have detail, having this plate is going to make cutting a lot easier. So my question to them was, you know, when do I use this? Well, anytime you have a thin die that has a lot of intricacy, a lot of different shapes that you want to go in and cut, this is going to be helpful. And I said, do I have to use it every time? The answer, well, if you need to use it once to make it cut, wouldn't you need to use it every time to make it cut? Yeah. Yes, that made perfect sense as soon as I got that answer. So it's a good idea that if you like to use a lot of detailed things, this is going to be the answer. And one of the things for me is a lot of these handwriting dies. These handwriting dies have tons of different curves and openings, and I've got different fonts from bold fonts into script fonts. And because we're cutting out different materials, this has been very helpful. So I'm going to work with a product called Deco Sheet. Now, Deco Sheet, this is a new product from the Ideology line. And basically what it is, it's kind of a sparkly surface. It's not a glitter paper. There's no glitter in it at all. It's an adhesive back material. So you can tear it. Yeah, it's actually adhesive back. And you can put it on a lot of different things. So let me just peel it apart just so you can see how thin it is. Of course, I don't want to peel it apart on the tear. It's called Deco Sheet because to me it's kind of an Art Deco vibe. There we go. Go into the light, Tim. Perfect. It's very thin. So it's a thin adhesive back material. When you cut it, I like to, of course, whenever I'm cutting thin things, I like to adhere it to a surface already, because especially when you have something very intricate, it's much easier to take that and then glue it on a project than, you know, dealing with, it's kind of like a thin piece of vinyl to kind of stick onto something. So when I go and work with it, I'll place that down. I'm just going to go in, this is one of the script words. This is congrats. Now, you can cut it out with the wax paper or not. It's completely up to you. Because if you're ever using thin dies and you have any type of release paper or wax paper in there, that tends to help not only cut, but it keeps the material from sticking in there. It's completely up to you. So I'll leave that in, we'll see how it goes. I don't know, we may have to run it twice, we'll see. So I'm just going to take this, and when you're working with this particular one, the idea is to have the blade of the die go into the metal, which seems, that's the part I really didn't understand, because normally we have a cutting pad that takes the blade. Right? But this time, this is all about the blade going into the metal. So I'm going to place that down, and this again is on our magnetic, and I'm going to place a cutting pad over the top. We're going to run this through. So now when we take this out, this is going to cut out our Deco Sheet. And you know, one thing you have to keep in mind from kind of that whole noodly font is that by having that cardstock base, it does make it, for me, it just makes it a lot more durable to go in and work with. What a difference a plate makes. Look at that.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, I love the sparkle of that.
Yeah.
It's really great. Yeah, I mean, I'll pass a piece around so you can see it. It's got such great shimmer, and this is available in silver and gold. It's sold in a single pack. You get 4 sheets of each. But just remember that you can attach it to a lot of different surfaces. Here we went in kind of a butterfly die and cut that, so you can use it with your steel rule dies. But my suggestion, if you are going to use it with a thinlet die, you definitely want this precision base because it makes a huge difference in detail dies. Because really, when we were trying to cut this before, it just wasn't cutting all the way through, simply because it didn't have that enough pressure. Because, you know, when I started designing even thinlets, I was still somewhat basic in my design. But now that we're doing, you know, far more intricate, very thin line cuts.
So the heavier plate has
yeah.
really...
Well, because it's metal, it's cutting into metal. So think about if you're cutting into a surface. If you have a surface that doesn't have as much give, you're going to get a crisper cut. You're going to get more detail. So it made total sense once I learned it. I was like, okay. And that's specifically for cutting. It's not for embossing, it's not for doing anything else. This is if you're going to cut with your thinlet dies. It makes all the difference.